Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Audio Hour number 119. It's our weekly podcast. We discuss all things game audio, from creative ideas to the latest techniques, project experiences to audio secrets. Here's where you'll find in-depth coverage and opinions related to game audio. Vince, what's going on, man?
Oh man, so much stuff. There's too much stuff that's happening. First of all, I've got a birthday coming up this weekend.
No way.
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm getting older. I'm hitting the. Hold on, wait a minute. How old am I turning?
29.
Uh, no. Let's see. I turn 34. There we go. 34.
I was
It
only off
used
a little bit.
yeah, it used to be so much easier when you're younger and you're like, oh yeah, I'm turning 10 today. I'm turning 18, but now 34. It's
Oh,
okay. That's cool.
those are great years. Hey, we won't see you between now and your birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did
Yeah, I figured I'd mention it because of that. And
did you happen to buy yourself an early birthday present?
you know, I actually did. I did. And you ready to see it?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. It's going to fly in from off screen. It's
That's
the
awesome.
Aerophone
That does look
from
like a spaceship, doesn't it?
It looks ridiculous. So, some of you guys out there probably know that I'm a big ardent user of the iwi. And it means electric wind instrument, but usually when you say that, you refer very specifically to, this instrument from Akai, which is, yeah, Akai makes the iwi, and it's great. It's been around for literally decades, since the 80s.
It looks awesome.
Uh, Roland has decided to make their first attempt at an electric wind instrument. And it is this, the Roland Aerophone. And it is weird. Um, so, one thing that Akai has sort of not been particularly great on is the quality of their emulative acoustic sounds. So, hey, sound of strings, sound of winds and brass and all that. They've had those built-in patches before. The earlier iwis back in the 80s and 90s, they were all either pure analog synths or modeling synths. And then this last iwi that they got, it actually has ROM on it. So it's basically a Rompler.
What's on the bottom?
Oh, the bottom is actually something I use for doing wireless MIDI. So just so I'm not constantly tethered to the computer. It's actually pretty cool. This Panda Audio MIDI Beam. Shout out to those guys because they actually make a really great product. Um, but yeah, this particular iwi has samples on it. It's a Rompler,
Wow.
and it honestly doesn't sound very good. I use it permanently as a MIDI transmitting device.
Okay.
This thing is by Roland, and Roland actually has a pretty good history, a pretty good reputation when it comes to the quality of their samples. And I figure I would try this thing out. It's weird, so I'm just gonna start playing some stuff. Let's see what I got here. Okay, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad, but and also key thing that this Roland has, which a lot of other electric wind instruments made by Akai or not don't have. This thing has speakers,
Yeah.
and they're really pushing this as not really an instrument for music composers, but for people who are saxophonists that just want to have another instrument in their library. This is very much a digital saxophone, complete with all of the trill keys and palm keys that you would expect on a
Oh,
saxophone, which is very different from what this electric wind instrument is. This is kind of saxophonish in its fingering, but it's actually a much more robust fingering that can handle a lot of things. You can have it respond like a brass instrument if you want. You know, like with 3 valves on a trumpet.
Yeah.
You can make it work that way. You can make it work like a traditional clarinet, or you can make it work with the iwi fingering system, where all these trill keys just work in a very well understood way. You know, if no matter what key I'm pressing, this particular key will always raise half a step. This particular key will always raise half a step. This particular key will always lower by 2 steps. This one is not quite so forgiving because it's very much a saxophone. So you can't do strange forked fingerings. Some of these palm keys and trill keys, they don't work unless you're doing the thing that will work on a real saxophone.
Gotcha.
Which is cool if you're a saxophonist. Unfortunately, I'm not a very good I wasn't a great wind player when I was in high school. The iwi was actually great for me. I was actually starting fresh with this particular thing. But if you are a saxophonist and you want to do something cool with this thing, then you'll feel right at home with this. All the ways of hitting those really high overtones that you might be used to, it will work just fine on this particular machine. But I also can't really recommend this quite as much as an iwi if you're thinking more about sequencing rather than playing a digital sax. The reason being, this thing is not great when it comes to the quality and configurability of its MIDI output. You know, so the Akai, for example, if for my breath control, I can spit out whatever continuous controller that I want with breath control. I could configure it to CC2, which is the default MIDI breath control. I could configure it to CC11, which is expression, CC7, which is volume, or any other random CC I want. This thing, breath control actually doesn't go according to MIDI standard. It's not CC2. It actually does CC1, which is modulation, which is weird. So that means if I want to actually put this into my workflow as I currently have it, I have to have another device in order to transform the MIDI stream before having it hit my DAW, either doing it in software or with a hardware box. So it's a little bit annoying.
Yeah. Hey, didn't they put like a bite trigger on those things too? You can do something through biting it.
Yeah, they do. With this particular one, you know, it does have this little flap here. It's got this little flappy reed thing. This thing doesn't work quite as well as the little white plastic nipple that you got on the Akai iwi. You bite that thing and it's actually really quite sensitive on the Akai. On this one, it's quite a bit harder to control for me. Maybe it's because I'm not a saxophonist and my embouchure is just not as developed as a real saxophonist embouchure would be. But I find this one much more difficult to control compared to the Akai's.
Gotcha.
It's still an interesting instrument though.
Did they have
weird?
Do the samples all have reverb built in? Because it sounded like that sax was already reverbed.
It is already reverbed, but let's see what I got here. I think
it would sound better if the reverb was off and just you kind of hear the speakers in your natural room.
I'm going to do that. Let's go like that. All right. I'm going to turn, I think I did turn off the reverb, so. Yeah. It's not playing very well, but yeah, no reverb now.
Yeah, that sounds better from our end anyway.
It's pretty configurable in terms of effects and whatnot. But I wish it was easier to configure the MIDI output on this. On the Akai, you can configure the MIDI output with a piece of Windows or Mac software. So you can say, hey, this particular metal plate, I wanted to send this particular CC or this particular NERPIN or whatever. This one, it actually does have a slightly better on instrument interface
I see
compared
that.
to the Akai, but it's actually less configurable in terms of the quality of the audio of the MIDI output. So that's a
Ironically.
little bit frustrating for me as someone that really cares about using this instrument to improve the quality of my MIDI.
So what do you use when you're orchestrating or when you're sorry, when you're composing? What do you use the EWI for?
For a lot of stuff, actually, I have it doing pretty much everything. So obviously for winds and brass, uh, I just have it work the way that it works. Breath will do its thing. The vibrato is typically what I'll attach to the bite. Uh, and then there are a couple of other things. Well, I'll attach nerpins or notes to the metal plates that are controlled with my right thumb for things like muting or pitch scooping.
Hmm.
And then I'll do the same thing for strings, actually. It's not all that different. With strings, violins and cellos and whatnot, I want to have a lot of control over the quality, the speed of that vibrato. So I'm going to do that with the bite sensor. And I've gotten pretty good at that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, man. I use the guitar on I'm going to unlock the video screen here. I use uh what's it called? It's a Yamaha G50 and
Oh, yeah.
A Roland GK pickup.
Yeah.
And I use that when I'm writing some stuff, some orchestral stuff. Like if I want really big chords that jump around, it's a lot easier because I'm not a piano player. So I'm real slow if I try to do that on a piano, but I can just strum a bunch of stuff and then pull out the notes that made mistakes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of cool actually to do that on a guitar. With an orchestra can go as fast as you want, honestly, when it comes to moving around between big chords.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I got these big mediant shifts. I'm going to go like just big 2D chords on thirds or minor thirds or big fifth jumps or whatnot. And it's actually, I would say, almost as easy to do that on a guitar versus on a keyboard where you have to be really quite precise if you want to do something that's that big a harmonic shift, just because you have to control all 8 or 10 of your fingers at once.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, somebody the other day said that their son is in piano lessons but doesn't have much rhythm. Do I recommend that he stay in piano lessons? Which I was like, that's up to you. But it got me to thinking, rhythm and piano is just such fine moments in a finger, And with a guitar, it's mostly just your wrist, it's a little bit bigger. And of course, drums, it's your whole arms. And I was thinking, I don't know, if you're trying to establish rhythm, obviously start with some sort of percussive instrument, but
Hmm.
I almost wonder if I benefit from being a guitar player rhythmically more than I would from being a piano player rhythmically, because the rhythm is so fine.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Well, let's see. When I was in piano, I actually did a lot of different rhythmic exercises, both on the instrument as well as away from the instrument. So my piano teacher actually had one of those practice drum pads, and we actually messed with that. I mean, this was, in the first few years of piano lessons for me. But that was actually a really important thing for me to learn back when I was a kid. There's having that rhythm and really being able to uh, internalize that before I actually go to the piano and just try, hey, I'm smashing on the keyboard at once. Developing the rhythm independently of that, I think is a good thing.
That's a great idea. Why
I
not
think
just
those little practice drum pads
yeah.
are actually pretty fantastic. I know
And
that we use that when I was in college. We actually used those a bit when we were just doing vocal training exercises in class. Hey, you want to be able to figure out how to do 6v4, 3v4, 7v4, 5v2. Um, yeah, I think those things work out. They'll continue to work out even if once you figure you're a developed musician.
Sorry, I was trying not to cough. Right when it goes to me, I get a cough.
It's cool. I'm actually wondering, do you have a? I mean, I know you've mentioned the Yamaha and the Roland guitar synthesizer
Mhm.
before. Um, have you ever thought about inputting guitar or inputting via a more pure digital instrument as opposed to going through that audio digital analog digital interface of the Roland?
Yeah, they make those. I think Yamaha makes a guitar that has fake strings and everything.
Yeah.
No, I mean I've played with them. During the Guitar Hero days, we had a bunch of them to try to figure out if there was something there for making a Guitar Hero controller. They just
Huh.
don't seem very comfortable. The one I want is like for a different reason. Like the first guitar synth, which is that Roland, I think it's called a GR300 is the guitar, and that'd be cool to have. Um,
Man, yeah.
but that has nothing to do with MIDI input. I don't think there might have been a MIDI out on the back of the synthesizer.
Hmm.
I don't know. Am I naming that right? The GR300?
I'm looking actually.
In the old days, it looked like just a regular guitar. That's the foot pedal is the GR300, isn't it? Maybe the guitar was like a GR7 or something. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If you go to here, I'll put a link in the chat. Not that this is really on topic, but it's something we're talking about. The
It's audio. It's plenty
GR300
on topic.
guitar synthesizer, but I wonder if it had a MIDI out on the back. It might have been before MIDI, so I'm not sure it had a MIDI out on the back. But it had this Yamaha guitar this guitar that looked like a Yamaha guitar, just a wood guitar, like an Artist series. That'd be Ibanez,
Yeah.
isn't it? Who does Artist? I think it's Ibanez. Anyway,
Yeah.
but here I'm going to try to find you a picture of it. The Roland guitar synth. It's got to be in here because this thing looks so goofy. And there it is. It's called a G707. Just take a look for G707. I wanted it because it looked so cool. It was like a suitcase with a giant handle that you just carried around.
That's cool. I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, yeah, that's cool.
I wanted that pretty bad growing up. Um,
That's so 80s.
for those breakout Devo moments, as
That
they.
is so 80s.
This is like the guitar version of a keytar, which a keytar is a keyboard version of a guitar.
Guitarception, indeed.
Anyway, that was the second guitar for their guitar synth line. I'm not sure if it had MIDI out, but it's a regular guitar. I don't know, man, and I'm sure you're going through it too. If a saxophonist was to pick up the what's it called by Roland? You just got the
The
autophone,
Aerophone.
Aerophone. If is it saxophonist? I want to make sure I'm saying that
I think it's a
correctly,
saxophonist.
or is it a saxophonist?
I like that. A saxophonist. I'm a
A
saxophonist.
saxophonist. If a saxophonist played the Aerophone, he'd have that person, he or she would have to get used to the weird feel of not actually having their hands. And so for me, I can't get away from that. When I play that Yamaha guitar or something similar, those fake strings just drive me nuts.
Mhm.
Something really weird about it. And there's one that's got a neck full of buttons, and you just can't ever I never grab the right buttons or bar the right amount of buttons. It's not forgiving whatsoever like a guitar is. I mean, a guitar, if you bar something wrong, the note makes it makes a nondescript sound and you get past what you're doing. But on these kind of things, if you do something wrong, it just yells very badly. Hey, this
Yeah.
idiot is doing something wrong with a really loud note that's not supposed to be there. It's not
Yeah.
forgiving these things. How about the Aerophone? Is it forgiving at all?
It's I'd say it's actually more forgiving. I mean, with wind instruments, so much of it is the embouchure, right?
Yeah.
The embouchure is so huge, and it's in that regard, it's pretty forgiving. If you maintain a strong embouchure, you're gonna stay on pitch. The worst that's gonna happen is you're going to be a little high or a little low.
Ah.
Um, so it's in that regard, it's actually kind of nice. You
So
know,
for people who don't know, what is the definition of embouchure? Is it mouth muscles and the way you form notes?
yeah, it's basically that. You know, it's not just what you do, the shape of your mouth, but it's your ability to also maintain that position. And that's honestly what I don't got. I mean, I know what to do when I'm playing a sax.
Hmm.
I can do that for 5 to 10 minutes at a time, and then I'm just tired, just plumb tired, because my embouchure is just not developed well. You know, my muscles suck.
Wow.
And I do most of my work on iwi, which is all similarly very forgiving when it comes to the quality of your embouchure. So, yeah, you know, sometimes I should break out my soprano sax and work out those muscles a little bit better. But
That's a
yeah.
beautiful sound, though. You know, I was watching Saturday Night Live this weekend, and I realized how badly or how much I hate the sound of the Saturday Night Live sax. It's such a classic sound, though. You know, that Saturday Night Live song and that horrible 70s sax that comes flying through there. I think to myself, if they would just remove that instrument, I think I might enjoy the Saturday Night Live song more.
It's kind of funny that though. I mean, it's been that sound forever. I,
Forever.
I mean, I remember actually talking to recording engineers, and they were saying, "Yeah, Saturday Night Live. Why do the engineers do that?" And I remember when I was in college, and I had the exact same reaction from my professors, from fellow students. Why do they make them sound like crap? Um,
I
it's
don't get it.
but it's consistent at least. You can't fault them that. They are definitely consistent with that sound.
Yeah, if that's all you're looking for. Can you
Uh,
imagine hiring in the sax player for Saturday Night Live? You know, hey, you're gonna have to play this song. You have to sound
I
like the
mean,
70s.
I mean the players are great. You know,
Yeah,
the
they
players
are.
are, yeah.
I don't
But
deny
that
that one
particular
bit.
sound, I wonder. You know, just flying off. I guess this is a little bit off topic, but the quality of sound related to the quality of TV broadcast. You
Mm,
know, hey, it needed to be done this way because this is what it would eventually end up sounding like back when everyone's family TV was not much larger than 20-25 inches for a big
yeah,
family room TV. So,
that's true. But it does sound so quintessentially 70s too. There was so much
yeah.
music that sounded like that sax solo at the time. Um, but I was watching the Dave Chappelle opening for Saturday Night Live, which is hilarious for this past Saturday. If you get a chance to watch it, watch it. Good to see him back. He's just such a funny guy.
Mhm.
And what I realized is I was watching on YouTube in high def, and they had such a great bass response in that music. It was so even. Also, it was really, really well mixed. You know, it's great that
Huh.
we've reached a place where um, typically on television you can send people a nice quality audio like that and then get it in their living rooms. Now I know I'm listening on YouTube on HD, but I know in my situation and many people I know, we've got a 5.1 setup. You know, we can get some nice quality audio coming off the TV, so you might as well send it to us. Anyway, so check out that opening. It's pretty hilarious.
Okay. I got to do it.
So Vince, what are we going to do about 2016, man? And two of my favorite artists died back to back this week. It's unbelievable what's going on.
That's true.
We lost um oh my god, I'm trying to think of all the people we've lost in this year. I was going to start with
Well, we got David Bowie. We
yeah.
got got Prince. Can't forget
Yeah.
that.
It's unbelievable.
Um, and now
Oh, Joe Cocker's who I was trying
Joe
to think of.
Cocker.
But
Yeah.
was he 2016? I think he was 2015, like right at the turn, but
Was
man, he
he?
kicked it all off, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, um so
Yeah, that was like
we
actually
lost.
at the end of he was actually at the end of 2014. So like 20 December 2014.
Oh,
So
was it really?
yeah, it
Gosh,
does
it
feel
seemed
like
like
it
it
was
was
closer. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm getting crazy then. Well, anyway, we lost Leon Russell, who I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Uh, and it was, you know, that's tough. So I threw in some Leon Russell music, and he had a heart attack recently. Did you ever listen to Leon Russell?
No, not really actually. I I
I'm
checked
looking
that
at
out and I was like I honestly can't remember.
Well, I mean, if you've ever listened to Elton John, you've been listening to Leon Russell because he influenced him so much. It's unbelievable. But the big one that
Hmm.
hit me is Leonard Cohen. I've just been such a huge fan. I mean, I love Leon Russell, don't get me wrong, but Leonard Cohen, and he's 82 and he passed away. I
Right.
mean, that's a good long life, but he was just such an amazing musician and gentleman and poet. And it's really sad to see. I feel like in some ways manners died in a little bit, because as I've gotten older, I've noticed manners are all the more important and all the less seen, it seems. And Leonard Cohen was just such a quintessential gentleman. It was really sad to see that go. But anyway, Leon Russell, amazing
Yeah.
musician as well, died the very next day. Maybe it was 2 days later, but it was super. It wasn't more than 2 days. So anyway, 2016 is going to be closing out in the next month, and not to be morbid, but I am not putting money on Tom Waits or I'm not. But I said,
Hey,
or Paul
galaxies are,
McCartney.
yeah.
I said to my cousin, I said, if Paul McCartney or Tom Waits or there was somebody else I was thinking of at the time goes, I'm just going to stop listening to music. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done. I'm going to become a ditch digger. It's just too much loss in 1 year. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to tip my hat to these people because if you get a chance to listen to Leonard Cohen, please do. If you get a chance to listen to Leon Russell, of course do. And these are two musicians who were enormously influential to the people that became more popular. Like Elton John is way more popular than Leon Russell. But when you listen to Leon Russell, you go, oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God. Elton John's been copping Leon Russell for a long time. And I love Elton John. Don't get me wrong. Certainly a classic in his own right. But you can hear the similarity between the two of them is unmistakable. And of course, don't forget about Leonard Cohen. Just listen to that stuff. It's unbelievable. It's just, I keep saying unbelievable, but it really is.
Not to make things even more of a downer, but totally forgot about Keith Emerson earlier this year.
Oh, Keith Emerson. And what's really weird about Keith Emerson is I keep seeing um keep seeing him in the like tour news. Like I follow some websites that announce tours that are coming up, and I don't understand why they keep popping him up. Like maybe he was doing a tour and somebody's finishing it, or his son got involved somehow in something that's going on, and it makes you feel like he's still there, but he's not.
Yeah.
And that was a sad one too. So and we lost some game composers again this year as well.
Yeah.
But man, I don't want to make this too morbid, but oh, it's just I just saw a couple more that anyway, so we should probably move on to the hey. Boy, somebody should train me on how to do segues, but let's thank our sponsors. Hey, iZotope, you rock. Thanks for taking care of us, and thanks for letting us be open about the things that we talk about. I mean, that's true. I've never once ever received any kind of note from iZotope about anything that we do on the show, except for the positive stuff that they tell us about what we're doing. So thank you very much for sponsoring us and just basically really just taking care of the game audio industry. I mean, if it wasn't for these plugins, holy cow. I mean, the things you can do with RX to clean up your audio is so great. The things you can do with Ozone to mix everything down and make it super, super quality. As a matter of fact, just this weekend, I was playing some stuff for somebody and they complimented me, which was very kind of them. They said that they could hear all of the instruments, they could hear everything. And I thought, wow, that's a real compliment. And then when I looked at my mix, all I had done is thrown Ozone 7 on the master bus. Something to be said for the simplicity of working. I can't wait to dig into Neutron. I got to get into Neutron better because I haven't had a chance yet, but I am super excited about their masking. I can't tell you enough because masking you do on your own. You're as mix people and as musicians, we hear when frequencies clash with each other, but we don't have a visual reference, and it's amazing what they've come out with Neutron, sorry.
Neutrino is the earlier
small.
version, the sort of like the thing that tantalizes you about the promise of Neutron. It's effective. Neutrino was effective in getting me interested, and Neutron, man, that's effective. It's really, really interesting what they do with that. Just you got the presets for Neutron where you just tell it, oh, this is what I got. I got a string section here. I got a lead guitar here. Or, even if they don't have a preset for something, train it on the audio that you want and tell it what role you want it to have. It's
Amazing.
really amazing what you can do now with all these plugins, all this technology.
And I was talking to somebody who said, listen, too much technology is going to
Yay. I'm not sure what's going on right now. Um, I just do a quick question over here.
testing.
Um,
Testing.
oh, whoa.
There we go.
Yeah, now you are back.
I use I hope it's not too loud. Is it too loud?
No, it's great.
Okay. I use Audio Hijack to route audio from my audio interface into SoundCloud, and then SoundCloud routes it into Hangouts because Hangouts won't let us choose anything but a kind of ham-fisted stereo device. And I think on occasion, because this has happened in the past, I think on occasion Audio Hijack, if it's on too long, just starts to get a little starts to shut down. So all I had to do was stop Audio Hijack and restart it again, and everything's good.
Well, how about you restart your thought? You were on, video game. It's amazing, this game, this audio technology that your friend was talking about.
Yeah. So just to make sure, because I don't know if you heard me, is a lot of people complain that when audio technology comes out, that it's having people lose their jobs, turning us into a robot kind of society. But then innovation is the exact opposite of that. It's creating something new, and then people will take it and create even newer things out of it. And it's the nature of any kind of editor or any kind of design application, where you just release the fundamental building blocks and see where people take it. And so when it comes to Neutron, I see a life full of awesome potential, although some people have spoken that they're concerned that it's simplified mixing. And I'm not so sure about that, because in the end, it comes down to your ear. And you can throw as many tools as you want in front of you, but kind of like flying a plane by the instruments, because you can't see at night. But eventually, you got to get near some lights if you want to put that thing on the ground. And so you're eventually going to have to depend upon your ear to kick out a good mix. And I like having the tools.
Yeah.
I do prefer hardware tools to software tools, but that's just me being an old fuddy-duddy. But anyway, I think it's great what Neutrino has done, even though there's been some spoken concerns about it.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's cool. I think that there are real concerns out there about, if the things that we're making are actually leading to less people being required for a job. We actually broached this topic a little bit a few weeks ago when we were talking about unions and, hey, if you're working with, if you want an 80-piece orchestra sound, AFM does not want you recording a 20-piece orchestra and recording them 4 times, for example. And I imagine that there might be some similar language that comes up when stuff like Adobe's voice synthesis software becomes an open market thing, as opposed to a neat little research project. But still, for all the cool tools that are out there, they need people to actually drive. I mean, look at what's going on in the visual industry. Hey, Photoshop is more powerful than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And still, we have, if anything, a more pressing need for quality artists. People value art, and people who are good at using those new tools, well, they're able to find jobs, honestly. So that's cool.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, that never stops. If you think about any kind of doctors, lawyers, programmers, you don't learn what you learn and then stop there. Musicians, you don't learn what you've learned from this teacher without going on to another one or studying some different style of music. You have to keep moving forward. And in the case of technology, it's just another step forward and out of the old.
Yeah.
Hey, have you listened to the new Sonic Couture library? I think they call it Maximus. Have you listened to that yet?
I haven't. I think I saw something about it, but I actually didn't hear about it.
Or I
I
said
didn't
Sonic
hear it.
Couture. Sorry, not Sonic Couture. Um, Darn it. Sadly, I hate to admit this. I haven't been composing as much recently, so I've been just all mix all the time, and now I can't think of my own sample libraries that I love so much.
Let's see here.
I mean, who am I
Is it
thinking of?
Maximus or?
An orchestra library. This is terrible.
It's okay. There are so many darn orchestra libraries out there these days. So much choice. It's
So
kind of
much.
ridiculous.
I am just, let me think of 2D. They did 2D as well. Let's just look up 2D. Sonic Kinetic.
Oh, Sonic Kinetic, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So their new one, I think, is called Maximus or something. I was curious if you listened to it.
No, I haven't.
Let's look it up.
Maximo.
Maximo.
Okay.
I really dig
Interesting.
them. I'm still with them. We did a review quite a few shows ago where we were talking about stuff, and I was just going on and on about Sonic Kinetic because they simplify writing,
hmm
and I still love them.
Yeah, I really like what they got, and I really like the interface that they have for
Yeah.
inputting. The thing that I worry about with that is when it comes time to actually, if you are doing these things as simply mock-ups of music before having it recorded by an orchestra,
Mm-hmm.
because eventually that stuff does need to be put down as real notes to be
Yeah.
arranged.
Yeah.
So that means, oh, wait a minute, what did I mean when I drew this particular figure
Yeah.
in one of the Sonokinetic pieces of software? Because Maximo is not the first one to do this.
Well, the good
Um,
thing though is when you see those artistic drawings that you're selecting, you can switch over to the MIDI note view and it'll show
that's
you
true.
exactly what it's playing. So you can translate that down. And another thing that I like about them, the software doesn't do anything that instrument can't do.
hmm
So if you choose some swirly on the piccolos, you're not going to magically hear some super bass piccolo note.
That
Which
is true. Yeah.
which I really like because I could get a sample library of a piccolo and just keep going down the keyboard until I'm like you know.
I think this is where I'm going to be the old fogey and say, but I want to be in control of every single note, and I totally get what you mean with yes, I want this particular motion. This is the feeling that I want, and then being able to draw that and get that out of it in a way that is real and great sounding. But I don't know. I still, for as much as I'm empowered by technology, um, you know, I still start with my oopsie, with my little music notepad here.
Oh, nice. Do
Yeah.
you hear that when you write it? How do you write? There's a good one to start with.
I I'm constantly thinking about the notes. Honestly, I'm not very good at hearing the notes in my head while I'm writing, but I have a very, I guess, visual, abstract way of sort of structuring my music.
Hmm.
So, uh, yeah, I mean, it's kind of methodical. It's kind of mathematical. I want to have that structure there, and I
Mhm.
think that if I have a clarity of that structure on the page, then that will translate into a clarity of that structure orally.
Do you ever start with something basic and start adding like effects to it and plugins to it just to see where it'll take you and then paint out of that?
I don't actually. Well, it depends. If I'm doing orchestral type music, I don't. If
No.
I'm doing something where I'm outside of that box, I'm like, okay, I'm in synth world, or I'm creating something new in pure data, or I am just wreaking havoc on a particular synth. I'm like, I am going to go crazy on that. But oftentimes, I go into a mode of I am in this fixed ensemble. I'm most of the time I'm fixed ensemble, and I do not break out of that ensemble. Then
Gotcha.
there's some times when, okay, for this particular project, I'm going all over the place. I am very flexible with my ensemble, and that
Yeah.
means everything. But I don't know. For some reason, I like working in a fixed ensemble, and I enjoy being in that particular space and thinking very much about these are the notes and these are the structures that I'm going to create out of those notes.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I brought up plugins because I was thinking, perhaps we should do a little bit of a giveaway. What do you think?
Oh, we should absolutely do a giveaway. I think it's that we should do a giveaway. Let's do it.
All right. Well, let me get over here to sharing a screen. And so we're going to give away, here we go, RX plugins. So for those who can't get RX, and we know how that is because it's quite a piece of software. What they've done is they've taken kind of the 4 main plugins from RX and added them to a plugin bundle. And so, oh my God, I can't tell you how often I use Declick every single day. There's no doubt about that. I use denoise probably every single day. If not, then I might use it. I might skip one day. Declip is probably the most amazing plugin they have in the bundle. Have you used Declip?
Oh man, Declip is actually kind of amazing. I started messing with that once I got RX5, and it's actually really surprising how much information you can get out of that.
Well, so the other day, somebody was saying to me, "Oh, you don't want to record anything distorted." And I said, "You're absolutely right. Because if you record something distorted, it's completely ruined." And I said, "No, that's not true. You can take a distorted clipping audio, run it through Declip. I'll tell you a little thing that I do is I usually take it down by 3 or 4 dB so I can see the tops that are being cut off. I run Declip on it, and then that reconstructs the part that's been cut off and is causing the clipping. And sometimes we'll shoot right to the top of your screen again and will be another visually cut off piece of audio. So I'll bring it down by another 1 or 2 dB and run Declip one more time until I can see that area that was completely closed off is now completely reconstructed. There's no distortion. And from there, I'll do some leveling so that so I get a more even sound. Obviously, since it was clipping, it needed to have some leveling done to it, and then start messing with the audio from there. Declip is amazingly powerful, and I've never had it go wrong. So if you're interested in the RX plugins, and you should be because it's amazing. Again, these are plugins that are already in RX. So if you have RX, certainly advanced. I don't know about regular RX. I don't know if what ones are in there or not. So do
Yeah,
you?
I think Declip is advanced only. But
Is
yeah,
it okay?
denoise, declick, dehum, that is in the regular RX.
Gotcha, gotcha. So Declip is advanced only. Okay, so if you have advanced, you've already got Declip. If not, then here's another reason to come in here. So that's even better because now you can get Declip without needing to get to advanced.
Yeah.
Dehum is fantastic. Set that to learn mode on manual, and it'll show this all these lines, these vertical lines of the places where it heard the noise and all of its harmonies, all of its sympathetics. And then you can even create a slope and say it's based on how much volume you're going to pull away. So you can say I'm getting rid of the entire fundamental, but then all the other ones I'm just going to slope it out. And so the real high one that you can't hear anyway, I'm not going to pull too much volume off of that. So dehum is also very good. And again, it's got a learn mode. So if you hear some in your audio, just bring it up, hit learn, and it'll show you where that hum is and remove it for you. It's pretty amazing stuff. So here's how it works. Send a tweet to @iZotope Inc. and @Game Audio Hour. Include the hashtag RXPlugs, RXPLUGZ, and that'll enter you to win this software. And then next week we'll pick a winner right before the show and do an announcement.
Wow. That is cool. Because yeah, I just gotta echo everything you said. Declip is it's amazing what you can do for audio that you thought was just ruined. And then dehum, denoise, declick. I'm pretty much using denoise, declick all the time. They're just so great. Really essential plugins.
Absolutely. And I took the screen down now, so there's your chance to win. And also with D-Click, I created a preset called green apples, because if you eat green apples, it'll cause your mouth to create a thicker saliva and help you with
little saliva bubbles in your mouth. Yeah.
mouth noises. And so I created a preset in D-Click that I call green apples that I've been using on everything for the past year, and I've never had it not work. It's been amazing. And even if I don't think I need it, I run it. I give everything a D-Click passage just in case.
That's cool. I think I did the exact same thing. I'm just sort of kicking myself thinking, why didn't I call my preset green apples? Because that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a digital green apples. And then what was the other one that's in there? Denoise. I didn't want to not give it any love because denoise is huge. So go to an area where you've got these are especially great for voiceover, which is where I end up spending most of my time using them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Go to an area where they've taken a break, where they're not breathing in or exhaling loudly, where they're just kind of like hitting a word that ends on a really hard consonant. And there's a pause. Go into that section, select it, hit play, and it'll just loop and listen to the room noise. And if it's too loud, if it's too much hair, as we say, then do a learn function and denoise. I usually set it to -12 dB if I'm trying to get rid of something. If I want to be more subtle, I'll go 6. If I want to be really extreme, I'll go 20. But 12 is my starting place. And then, so I've got that area selected. I've taken the learn function from that area. Then I click somewhere else in the audio file, because if I just hit fix, it's only going to fix that area I selected. So I don't want to do that. So I click somewhere else to clear out my selection and hit fix, and it goes all the way through there. And I have never had it destroy the artist's content. It just gets rid of the room noise. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, you're here.
So there you go. RX plugins.
Yeah, RX is cool, but hardware. I've got actually more hardware to show.
Do it.
I've got more hardware to show. I've been experimenting with having a more slimmed down mobile recording kit. Usually my mobile recording kit is a Tascam DR70, and I'll bring some mics. I've got a Rode shotgun that I like using, the NTG4.
Nice.
And I got a couple other mics I'll sometimes randomly use, some like this cheap Audio Technica short shotgun. But lately I've been playing with this thing.
Ooh.
And this is
a cigar.
Not quite. It's about the same size, but it is a high resolution microphone. This is a Dodotronic Ultra Mic 200K. It is pretty cool.
We talked about this before.
I think I mentioned in a previous show that I had just ordered it and I was looking forward to it. And I got this thing, and unlike other mics, it doesn't terminate in XLR. It has a USB because it does have an ADC converter built in.
Okay.
And it's 16-bit, but hey, 16-bit 200 kilohertz. And this thing is just so cool when it comes to making sound effects. One of the things that I like doing is taking recordings of things and pitch shifting them. And it's really cool when you have that high frequency content that you otherwise wouldn't be able to hear, and you pitch shift it down into the region where we can actually hear it. Hey, let's go half speed, quarter speed, eighth speed, and you can get some really cool effects out of it. There's some really interesting things that come from dogs barking. That was the first thing that I did, actually. My fiance's dogs, just listening to them yap when I throw the tennis ball at them. Or not, I don't throw the tennis ball at them. I throw the tennis ball a ways away, and then we're like, yeah. And you could just make some really fantastic sounds with this. The cool thing about this is it's really cheap. Some of you guys might know that high frequency mics are out there, and they're really expensive. We like talking about Earthworks, for example. And you have things like the TC40, the TC50, And oh, by the way, Kyle, I can't hear you. I don't know why. I'm gonna keep on talking though. Like the TC40, the TC50, they're great mics. They're also rather expensive. Or like the Sanken mic, that's
Testing.
made. You're good. The Sanken mic, that's made for all the way up to 50 kilohertz. Uh, this thing is only about $300,
Oh wow.
and there is that old adage, you get what you pay for. But here, you seriously get way more than you pay for. This is a really cool tool to have, just giving you access to that much more of the frequency spectrum that you might not otherwise have had.
What is the Dodotronics?
Dodotronics, yeah. Sorry, Dodotronic.
Got
So
it.
no S on the end. So
Oh yeah.
Dodotronic, they ship it to you from Europe. Uh, it's a really simple device. It's great. It just sounds really, really good.
And it's
And
called the
actually,
ultrasonic USB microphone.
yeah,
Uh,
they actually
Ultra
have this in a couple of different versions. So their lowest frequency one starts at 192. And then they also make a version all the way up to 384 kilohertz.
Oh wow.
Now, these things all have a built-in converter, so it just does USB. You can plug this straight into a laptop, or the thing that I've been doing is plugging it straight into my phone. So instead
Ooh.
of bringing my Tascam recorder and a shotgun mic, I've actually been playing around with just using my Android phone and breaking this out, laying this out somewhere, mounting it on a little tripod, and just hitting record and seeing what I get.
So oh wow. So what are you using then to get from USB into your Android?
Oh, let's see. You have various things. The thing that you have to look for is an on-the-go cable, OTG, USB OTG, and you just have this thing. It plugs straight into the bottom of your Android.
Okay.
This Android is USB-C, but of course they make them also for the more traditional Androids that have
Gotcha.
micro USB. They also make them for Apple. You could use the Apple camera connection kit, in fact, so you could use it on an iOS device, an iPhone or an iPad. And then this is just a little USB connector. Use a USB cable, microphone goes straight into that.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, it is a pretty cool thing. This is the slimmest kit that I've got, unless you count one of my built-in portable recorders. Like I've got a little Zoom 4-channel recorder that I actually really enjoy using,
Yeah.
but it's not high resolution like this mic.
But do you end up with a lot of noise floor you have to deal with when you're recording through your phone?
No, actually, I mean, the noise floor is going to be dictated by the quality of the converter, as well as honestly, the sound that I get out there in the field.
Yeah.
I figure if I'm just going to be trying different things with natural sound sources, my noise floor is going to be up there. I'm not worried about the 16-bit limitation. And it is pretty much a 16-bit noise floor. Um, it sounds good.
You
I'm
clean it up with
very, very
RX anyway,
happy.
right?
Yeah. And the noise is, and typically what I'm doing is I'm doing some really extreme pitch shifting.
Hmm.
So the noise that I'm dealing with, well, I'm going to be dealing with some stuff that was originally at, let's say, I don't know, 15, 20, 25 kilohertz fundamental.
Yeah.
And then, taking that down, putting it down into human audible range. It's cool. I like this thing a lot.
And what is the frequency range? Did you say it can go up to 200 kilohertz?
So this model samples at 200. So, up to 100, Nyquist frequency.
Okay.
They do make a more expensive model, which I think is double the price. So like $500 or
Mhm.
so. Uh, and that thing can do up to 384 kilohertz. So if you
Wow.
want to have super high frequency recordings,
Yeah. What's
um,
up there?
yeah, what is up there? I mean, it's really cool. Um, I actually got this mic mostly because a lot of people who have used these mics tell me that despite being a high resolution omnidirectional microphone, it's actually a really good general purpose microphone. It just sounds good on a variety of sources. If you, hey, you want to put it up in front of someone and just record their voice, it will
Yeah.
sound good. It's not just about capturing the super high frequency stuff.
See, that's what I was thinking is if you're getting low noise floor on your phone using that microphone, then you could take that to like remote VO sessions.
Yeah,
You
it's
know, you or you
there have
could.
been.
It's not stereo, so you couldn't like record some things that you'd want to have in stereo. But I could see that being very useful. I kind of wonder sometimes when I see something like that is why are we spending so much money on microphones?
Yeah, well, there is a whole lot of stuff there that's based on the tradition. Hey, good old Georg Neumann and whatnot. Uh,
Or
but
Shure,
yeah,
like
or
this right
sure.
here.
Oh, by the way, you do sound really good. That mic treats your voice pretty well.
Is it doing all right? It's dynamic.
Hey,
It's got this
dynamics.
really beautiful blue um, pop filter inside the grill. That's pretty good. I'm impressed with it. I've always kind of scoffed at the 55. It seemed like it was more hype than audio, but we did a mic shootout this weekend, and this thing did fantastic.
Oh,
It was
really? Huh.
it was
I
up
mean, what?
against 50, it was vocal. It was up against 58s, 57s, some other things I can't think of right now, and
Hmm.
it won hands down. It was great, and it was about the positioning because apparently at least on this mic the filament is towards the bottom of the microphone rather than towards the top of the microphone. I don't know if you can hear a difference when I do
Oh,
this or
yeah.
this.
It's pretty clear the difference, actually. Wow.
Is it okay? So I don't know if they're all manufactured that way, but once we got on axis with the actual head, it was like, whoa, that is a huge difference. Because when you're up here at the top, this one and the SM58 didn't make much of a difference.
Huh.
But when you get
Interesting.
down on it, this one made a huge difference.
Wow. So, what were you recording this weekend?
Oh, I was just doing a mic shootout at a local place just to pick up a new mic for the collection.
Ah, cool,
And I
cool.
didn't have a 55. As a matter of fact, I don't even have a 58. I have other brands versions of 58s,
Oh,
but I don't
wow.
have an
Okay.
actual Shure 58. So I thought, you know what? Doesn't hurt to throw some. It was one of those times where your budget permits and you're like, I don't have any big things I want to get, but you can't ignore the mic closet. So let's add a couple of mics, and it ended up being the 55, the Super 55, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
Anyway, good
Man.
mic. I think I'll keep using it for the show. I have one that I like, my Nady SCM 750, which don't go to eBay and buy that. I'll kill you because there's one out there and I need it. I need a backup in case it breaks because I love that mic so much. But yeah, I love that mic on my voice, but this one I'm gonna have to listen to the show. You say it sounds pretty good. Maybe this is my
I think it
backup.
sounds nice. I mean, it clearly is different from,
The
previous
webcam.
recordings with you. I mean, yeah, the webcam, but it does strike me as that it's different from what you had before as well with the Nady. So, yeah, I
Nice.
mean,
I'll
cool. I
listen.
mean, I'm a big fan of dynamic vocal mics. Whether it be like the classic SM7 or RE20, and
Oh,
good.
the
The good
RE20.
Shure SM57 is a great mic.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
I mean, I've got more SM57s than God at this point. It's ridiculous. I got Unidynes. I got so many SM57s. But you know what? It's no Heil though. I got to get me a Heil.
hey, this Heil is pretty nice. I really
That's
love
PR
this thing.
30, right? PR
No, this is
40.
the PR40.
40.
The 30 is great, actually. I think the 30 has a little bit more extended high definition. It actually feels um, yeah, a lot of people will say that these dynamic mics are actually kind of have a response that's more like a condenser mic than your
Ah.
typical dynamic mic. It just feels like there's a lot more information up there past 14 kilohertz, where
Well, you're
typically,
way off the mic. Hey, next week let's do a mic thing. Let's do something about mic pre's because I've been doing a lot of talking with people about mic pre's, and I realized a lot of people don't know what to do with impedance.
Oh yeah.
And to be fair, this mic right now is going through my Earthworks, which is a fully differential mic pre, and a lot of people don't know what that means either. I've come to learn, and that, hey, I didn't either, you know. And once you figure out what variable impedance and fully differential means, you almost never go back. The best mic pre's are there.
Hmm.
And I've noticed with your Heil, you can get way off of that. So what impedance are you using? Because to tell people, the lower the impedance, the further you can get away from the mic, and it can still hear you
Hmm.
because you're loading it in a
Man,
more friendly manner. But
well,
what are you using for impedance on that mic? Do you know?
I'm not sure about the impedance on this one. I mean, this is just straight into the RME here.
Ah,
So
gotcha. So it's probably 2000 typical.
yeah. I
2000 is
mean,
a typical impedance for microphones these days because your impedance, the rule of thumb is you want to have 100 times more than the actual mic's.
I know that, typically, well, let's see. Honestly, I can't remember all the things that I used to remember for, these are typical things. Like, I want to say that for ribbon mics, it's nice to have that variable impedance, especially being able to push it down lower.
Yeah.
And oh, I mean, yeah, I don't remember all the details of this. So honestly, I wouldn't mind a little refresher myself.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's a mic pre out there I am not mentioning because if one shows up on eBay, I really don't want to get anybody competing with me. There is one particular mic pre I cannot wait to get, and that's what took me into the stores. They said they had one. They didn't. They ended up having the stereo version, which didn't have the fully differential internals, which is what I'm looking for, and that's what the Earthworks that I have here provides.
Mm.
Um, but anyway, let's do that next week. Let's talk about mic preamps. Do you think I'd be
Yeah,
useful?
I think that would be cool. We could talk a little bit about mic preamps.
Cool.
Maybe Mike will be back on the show, and we could have Mike also talk about other mic things.
It's just going to be a show full of mic.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's mic them up and listen to it. See what I did there?
Awesome. Yes.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to go. It is a fantastic show. It's always great to see you. Thanks for joining us, chatties. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe us on other things and tweet about us because we're very vain and we need that for our egos. And I think I covered everything.
Yeah. Woo.
I'm also very tired. I don't know. I've been like this whole show, I've been like, I got to stay awake. I can't yawn. I've been getting up way too early. It's ridiculous. It's that hour time change. That's what we should talk about next week is why do we even have that damn thing?
Oh yeah, daylight savings time. Saving from what?
Saving me from sleep, apparently.
Uh, yeah.
All right, I'm
Yeah,
out of here.
exactly. All right. Bye.
Later.